Attack on Titan, an anime with some of the best episodes of any TV show ever. I mean, if you want to use IMDb as a metric, just look at the highest rated episodes of all time on their website, and 6 episodes from Attack on Titan are in the top 20. And it makes sense. Some of these episodes give us some of the best moments in fiction, whether it be an amazing action scene or crazy plot twist. These episodes stand out among the rest, and even looking at AOT as a whole, it's clear that the best episodes include some amazing action set pieces with high stakes, twists upon twists, or just great episodes that drive the plot forward. It's obvious why these episodes get the most attention and are rated among the best in AOT. And these episodes are also among my favorite in the entire series. But in this video, I want to talk about an episode that is one of my favorites, that isn't as popular as the rest, and it might actually be my top 5 episodes of the series. It's an episode that doesn't have any crazy action scenes, there's no big plot twist, and it doesn't change the scale of the story, where it goes from fighting titans to something bigger and more grand. It's an episode that's pretty tame and low-key, and dwarfs in scale to the other ones. But to me, it's one of the most beautiful, resonating, and impactful episodes of the entire story, and that's episode 11 of season 3, the episode titled Bystander. And in the manga, it's chapter 71. This episode, in my opinion, is one of the best written in the entire series, and it's crazy to say that because, for the most part, this episode has largely flown under the radar, and I very rarely see anybody give it attention, talk about it, and its overall importance among the catalog of episodes in AOT. The episode mainly follows Instructor Shadis, and right there with that statement, it makes sense why this episode isn't as attractive as the rest, especially among episodes that focus on a singular character and their backstory, like with Sasha, Ymir, Historia, Mikasa, and Zeke. But we're going to talk about why Instructor Shadis' story is among the most impactful in the story, and its importance to the development of Eren, the main character. In all honesty, the first 10 minutes of the episode don't matter all that much. I mean, you have the whole Historia and her orphanage thing, and that's cool. We see the scouts making advancements in technology, and we have this like dinner scene with the scouts, and yeah, it's fun. It's whatevers. But the first 10 minutes aren't the focus, or don't really matter all that much to the overall point of the episode. The episode officially starts at around the 10-minute mark, when the scouts, after 4 months of being in boot camp, reunite with Instructor Shadis. Eren pleads to Shadis to tell him about his father, Grisha, in hopes of knowing more about him. And Shadis responds, saying that his story isn't really important, and that in the grand scheme of things, it's useless. He talks about meeting Grisha for the first time, and how he found him odd, as Grisha seemingly had zero knowledge of the world around him. In one of their earliest conversations, Grisha remarks on how life within the walls seems to be relatively okay and peaceful, since they don't live in fear of the Titans. Shadis responds by venting his annoyance at the people around him, since they come to terms and have accepted life within the walls, while they stay largely ignorant of the world outside, which is why he's in the scouts, to venture that world. And it's funny because a sort of small parallel can be formed between Eren and Shadis, at least in this aspect. In the first episode, when Mikasa outs Eren's plan to join the scouts, his mom asks him why he wants to go outside, and Eren says because he doesn't want to spend his life within the walls, ignorant of the outside world. And a little while after, he tells his mom that people who are satisfied living within the walls are nothing but fools, which is the same reasoning and sentiment that Shadis expresses to Grisha. Grisha tells him that him being a scout is an amazing thing, and it takes a quote-unquote chosen one to be able to do that. And so it's really Grisha who first comes up with the idea that it takes special people to be able to do something amazing, and Shadis becomes enveloped by his words, since it's the first time someone has ever talked about him that way. And so it really becomes Shadis who pushes this idea in the story that only a few special people exist, and those special people have the ability to make change in the world. And it's when you realize that Shadis views himself as one of these special people, as he uses language such as "I'm different" or "I'm not like the rest," in an attempt to separate himself from the ordinary average people. It gets to the point where Shadis, because he thinks he's inherently special, he starts to view himself above others, saying that if only he was in charge, he would be able to make change and make things better, and that then everyone would be able to acknowledge him. This is where we come to understand Shadis' philosophy. He thinks some people, such as himself, are inherently special and such that they have the ability to accomplish great things, and because of that, they should be recognized by the masses for obtaining good achievements. We see this happen right after, when an illness breaks out, and everyone starts to depend on Grisha, and when he saves everybody, people start to look up to him. They admire him for having accomplished something amazing, and Shadis looks on with jealousy. Jealousy at the fact that he just got cucked by his best friend. Just want to make that clear. No, but he's obviously jealous that people begin to admire Grisha for doing what he did, when he feels like people should be admiring him. But this also emboldens Shadis and his view on the world, that the masses will always acknowledge the great feats of special people, and he views Grisha as one of those special people. We then see the stark difference in the lives of Grisha and Shadis, and how they're viewed by the public. No one cares or even acknowledges the fact that Shadis has become commander of the scouts, while on the other hand, everyone celebrates Grisha getting married. we see Shadis' failure as commander, as he's unable to make changes or accomplish anything, while the public does nothing but insult him while praising others. And the manga goes a little deeper to show how much Shadis thought himself better than others, even going as far as pushing off Erwin's long-distance scouting formation, even though it would save more lives. We then see Shadis reunite with Carla, but he begins to berate her, saying the ordinary people aren't special because they don't have the ability to make change, since they're content with being useless, and he can't even grasp the concept of what it means to be great, that average people can't accomplish anything. And it's at this moment where Shadis realizes that he himself isn't special, and he uses Erwin especially, alongside Levi and Anji, as examples of special people who are able to accomplish great things, people who are able to be recognized for having reached great feats. He begins to wonder why he thought so highly of himself, what made him think he was a special person, and he begins to blame Grisha for putting that idea in his head, that he was a special person, one of the few chosen people in the world. When they find Eren after the Titans break down the walls, Grisha tells Eren that he needs to avenge his mother, and Shadis questions him, asking why doesn't he avenge Carla, and that he should do it since he's special, unlike him, and that he shouldn't curse his son just like he cursed him by making him think he was special, by burdening him with having to accomplish something. Grisha shuts him down by telling him that Eren isn't like him, and Shadis ends the story at that moment, saying that he doesn't have anything else to share. And Eren agrees with Shadis that he himself isn't special either, it's just that he's the son of a special man. And Shadis begins to tell Eren what his mom said about him, that not accomplishing anything is okay. It's fine if he isn't great, because he doesn't have to be better than anyone. Having accomplishments doesn't make him special. That Eren is already special simply for being born into the world. And what makes this specific moment one of the more beautiful resonating moments of the whole anime isn't just because of this isolated moment, it's because it really wraps up Eren's development for the entire Uprising arc. In the Uprising arc, we see Eren become nihilistic. He wants to die because in the cave, he finds out the truth about his dad, and he realizes that his Titan power isn't his like he thought it was. It was actually stolen and given to him. Eren thought his Titan ability was naturally his, and so because of that, he thought himself special, only for that to be taken away from him when he learns that his dad took it from Frida and passed both the founding and attack Titan to him. This affects Eren deeply since it made him think less of himself, in terms of not thinking he's special anymore. But he also begins to blame himself for all the pain and suffering that's happened, that the people around him always die, because if it wasn't for him, in his view, wrongly obtaining the power of the Titans, none of this would have happened. And so for that, he thinks he should die to atone for all that. Eren's world begins to crash down on him, and his mental state begins to deteriorate. Eren, even a few episodes afterwards, repeats the sentiment that he isn't special. He thought he was special than others, and wanted the Titan powers to be his own, but he was wrong. And it isn't until the episode Bystander that the words of Eren's mom make Eren realize that he is special. He's special because he was born into the world. And this realization creates a newfound resolve within Eren, a resolve that motivates him to want to live and reach his goals. We see how after this turning point in Eren's character, Eren becomes more determined and more confident within himself. We see how his character was affected by this realization for the rest of the anime in Season 3 Part 2 and both parts of Season 4. He becomes more willing, more sure of himself. He takes control and becomes a driver in his story, as he even tells Zeke in episode 78 that he won't go along with his plan because he was born into this world. And we see how far Eren is willing to go to protect the lives of the people he cares about. Aside from Carla saying that Eren is special, being a turning point to his character, what I also like about this moment is that this episode gives us 3 different philosophies on what it means to be special. Shadis thinks being special is inherent, and that it means he can accomplish great achievements. Eren thought he was special because he thought the Titan powers were naturally his own. But in the end, both of those views cause them to think less of themselves as people. But Carla negates both of those views by saying that people are born special. They don't have to achieve great things to be special, nor do they need certain abilities to be special. No, it's simply that being born into the world makes you special. I think that's just beautiful writing, how these two people thought themselves better than the rest because they filled themselves with thoughts of grandeur on what it means to be special, only for both of them to be wrong. But more importantly, both their overcomplicated worldviews become shattered with just one simple sentence. A sentence which acknowledges both of them. Shadis didn't think Eren was special, and Eren would never think Shadis special because he doesn't have Titan abilities. But with Carla, she sees everybody as special. And in the end, Shadis, after seeing Eren go beyond what he thinks of him, even after he sabotages him, comes to realize that he's nothing more than just a bystander. It's a melancholy feeling, this idea that you're not the main character in your own story. And I think another reason I truly adore this episode is because this idea of just being a quote-unquote bystander is also a main theme in one of my favorite movies of all time, And also one of the greatest movies of all time, Blade Runner 2049. You guys need to watch it. It's legit a flawless movie. But in Blade Runner 2049, we follow this guy, this main character, who is the main character of the movie. But we follow him on his journey as we, along with him, come to realize that he's not the main character at all. That he's just a bystander. He's a side character in his own story. Attack on Titan and Blade Runner really express the idea that you're not the main character in your own story, better than any other piece of fiction. The episode titled Bystander and Attack on Titan can be summarized as an episode where Keith Shadis goes through a journey of thinking himself better than everyone, based on the notion that he thinks he's a special person. People who have the ability to accomplish great things, only to realize he's not important and that he's just a bystander. You can also say it's an episode where a guy becomes self-aware and realizes that he's a side character. Or you can say it's an episode where a guy becomes pissed because his best friend is clapping his crush's cheeks. You can use either of those, but I honestly think this episode is one of the more special in the entire series. The most important and main part of the episode is Carter saying that Eren is special. And I could have easily written an entirely different script, just talking about how meaningful and important that one moment is, while ignoring everything else. But I didn't, because aside from being thematically sound and vital to Eren's development, I think this episode accomplishes more than that. It showed the best of Attack on Titan, how it was able to take a character that nobody had seen since episode 3 and turn the concept of a story into one of the more engaging and impactful episodes in the whole anime. The way it connected Shadis' story with Eren's characterization was incredibly written. The moment with Eren looking at the sky with his mom's words saying that he's special for being born into the world is one of the most beautiful moments in the story. It's not something that I could relate to or feel touched by on a personal level, but seeing the words of a mother change her son's outlook on his life is deeply emotional to me. And it's something that, well, now I'm going off script, but it's something that even now, just thinking about it brings tears to my eyes. I love this episode. As I said in the beginning, it's not a flashy episode. It's not some crazy action blockbuster that's gonna break the internet. It's not gonna have a crazy plot twist that's gonna keep the community talking for days. But even without all that, it's without a doubt one of the best episodes of the entire series. This episode really shows the greatness of Attack on Titan. How it was able to take a small scale story and turn it into one of the most important moments for its main character. It showed how the writing of Attack on Titan is some of the best in fiction, and why I regarded Attack on Titan as the greatest piece of literature in history. Until chapter 139. Okay everybody, that's it for the video. What is your favorite episode of AOT? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to know. A lot of great options to pick from. Personally, I can't choose one. I mean, yeah, just too many great options. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and it would help my channel out a lot. Alright everybody, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.